to episode 1 of our 1/12 scale shop project. Now in today's episode I want to introduce you to the project, show you what I've done so far, which is actually very little, and then tell you a bit about my plans for it. So this is going to be our first project, and I've had this for about 3 years now. It was given to me by my Uncle Mickey. He works for a gutter maintenance company, and he was working at a big house and there was a skip in the front garden and this was inside it, and knowing my love of dolls' houses, he asked the owners if he could take it and they said yes, please do. And I'm really glad he did. I hate the thought of anything in this sort of condition being thrown away, and I would urge you that if you ever have the opportunity of taking a second-hand doll's house to do up, then do take it, because no matter what state it's in, there's always something you can do with it. It can always be salvaged. And another thing I advise is that when you start something like this, always take loads of photos at the beginning, and as you make those changes you'll be really glad that you did. And I actually took loads of photos of this when I first got it, and I'll show you those in a moment. Now, even though this was chucked in a skip, it's in really good condition. Structurally it's really sound, it's a really good solid piece. So let's move in and have a closer look. So I'll start by giving you the measurements as well, and when we take this front door off I'll tell you the measurements of the rooms inside as well. So it is 58 centimetres wide, and that's 23 inches. Up to the top of the roof it is 58 high, so again 23 inches high, and from the front door to the back is 26 centimetres, and that's 10 1/4 inches deep. Pop that there. So we've got this removable roof here, and it's hollow on the inside, and I'm not too sure I like this design, so it just sort of sits on the inside of that lip there. But I think it needs something a little bit taller, and something as well that comes right out to the sides there. So that's something we'll have to think about, maybe building a new roof altogether. I'll just pop that to one side. So it's got a single door that hinges over there on the left hand side, and I've made a few changes to the door. I removed the doors, which were quite thick doors with 2 big panels on, and I'll show you those when we have a look at those photographs I got when I first got it. And I also took these windows out, which again were just sort of quite small paned windows, and the same with the main shop windows. And I took them out because I want to have a nice big open window where we can have a window display in there and then see into the shop behind. We've got this lovely panel along here where we can put the name of the shop. So one of the jobs I did actually start on was making some new frames for these windows, and these were really easy to make, and I can show you how I did that as well, because I took pictures sort of along every step of the way. So I'd like to use those, and then we'll get some acetate to go on the inside. And the door latches shut with this sort of hook and nail, and I'm not sure if I'll keep that or whether we might use some magnets on the inside. Okay, so I'll just remove this door section, and I've got the hinges as well in a safe place, so I kept hold of all the sort of bits I took off. The back of the door is just plain white, and it came like that, although I did give it a good clean. One of the other problems we're going to have to look at is where the door actually hangs, because if I hold it up there where the hinges go, it's a little bit higher than the baseboard there, but it's not as high as this top panel here, so it doesn't cover that top panel. But probably won't do anything to that until we've decided what we're going to do with the roof, because if the roof sort of overhangs a little bit, we might be glad of that extra bit of space. But that's sort of something we'll look at in a future episode. So let me get rid of the door. So the inside is divided up into sections, obviously the main shop area down here. You've then got these 2 rooms up here, which are designed, I think, to be a live-in section. Over here you've got the stairwell, and you've got the switchback stairs there, and then this little landing, and I quite like those stairs, although they're not fitted very well, and we'll move in and have a look at those in a moment. And then this panel here actually comes out, so it's quite well made because that sort of slides in and out quite easily. And that's just a little example there of the wallpaper that was on the inside, and it's that very, very thin paper, which makes me think that maybe it's quite an old doll's house. So let's just pop that to one side as well. And my initial idea is to have this part open and to have that as a sort of second floor to the shop. So each of the floors is 23 centimetres high, and that's 9 inches. Isn't that the same? That's 20 centimetres high and 8 inches at the top there. And then the main shop area is 43 centimetres, that's 17 inches. And the little entrance hall, that's not sitting down properly into the slot, so we'll look at that. And the entrance hall is 13 centimetres, and that's 5 inches. And the rooms are just under 25 centimetres deep, so 9 3/4 inches deep on the inside there. It's made of 3-part plywood, so the wood of the main structure is 9mm thick, so that's 3/8 of an inch, and on these internal walls, if I can get in there, it's 6mm, so 1/4 of an inch. It is a good sturdy piece. The other thing that came with it was this little lip at the bottom, which I think is designed so that you can stand things outside, so I'm not sure if we'll use that or not. If not, we'll have to cut it, obviously, so that the doll's house then doesn't wobble. And that's just another piece of plyboard there. It's got platform written on it there. And somebody painted that green. We'll pop that piece to one side as well. And then let's move in a little bit closer. So there's the entrance hall, and a close up there of the stairs. And also had these sort of banister panels, but I'm not quite sure how they fit back in now. When I was sort of trying to get them back into position earlier, I couldn't quite get them to fit, so that bit that's painted pink doesn't go all the way up there, so I'm not quite sure how they were meant to go. And then this little one here as well for the base that would stand like that, and that's got a little lip that just fits over that little landing bit. But I don't think I'll use these panels. I'll probably remake a nice banister rail to go up there. So get those out of the way. And then the stairs are in 2 parts. You've got this separate stair piece here, like that, which had screws at that end, which fit onto the landing area there, and then it glues against this part here. So I'll definitely keep the stairs because they're a good fit and they're nice and solid. Just need to sand those off. And then this section is all one section, so it's got that little landing attached. Try not to make an awful squeaky sound there. Like that, and they've just sort of been nailed into place, those stairs. Again, they're nice and solid. That just needs a good sand. Pop those there as well. So a little bit of cracking in the back corner there, where it's just lifted a bit. That's not too much of a problem at all. And then this panel in the middle here is actually all one piece. So this section here. So it's been cut off at the front there, but if you look up there, it's all one piece. So there's been cut along here to fit this central floor piece into. And that's a little bit loose, even though it's fitting into the groove in the ceiling up there. So I'll need to do something about that. And then, like I pointed out earlier, that also isn't sitting in there correctly. So it's obviously warped at some point, or shrunk back. I don't really want to replace any panels. I'd like to use what's here. And even if then we just secured that in there with whatever skirting board we decide upon, we could do it like that. Maybe get something under there to sort of pad it out and then cover with skirting. There's a little midge flying around trying to get on camera. So that's that. I always find it sort of quite interesting looking at the paint and things that other people did. And that just looks like some sort of emulsion they used up there, like in a sort of magnolia colour. And then obviously they've gone for the pink in the downstairs area, but obviously put the stairs in first and then painted around it. Same on that wall there, just a really sort of thin covering of paint, but all this will be covered. And then in here, again, all pretty solid. It had the copper tape wiring in it and some sort of quite big old plugs stuck up there, which I removed, and again I'll show you all of that because I've got photographs of it all. That's just a knot in the wood, that's not a split or anything. And that again sits into a groove in there. That would actually slide out quite easily. See, like that. A hole has been sort of made in the back there, and the copper tape was fed through there. Now I'm going to reinstall some lighting, but I'm actually going to use wires rather than copper tape. And I haven't actually done any wiring myself before. My doll's house actually came with the copper tape lighting installed, so it's not something I've had to do, so that will be a learning process. Okay, so let's have a look at the sides now. So each side is covered with this brick paper, which I want to remove, but I do like the idea of having brickwork on the outside. And then at the bottom there, from the side, you can see where that piece of board went in there. So if we don't use the piece of board that sort of overhung at the front there, we'll need to cut it so that it fits in there, so that the doll's house isn't going to sort of rock back and forward. A couple of little holes there. I'm not sure if that's where they sort of screwed the stairs into place or nailed the stairs into place, or whether that was something to do with the lighting. I'll just come round and show you the back. So just plain ply, and you can see where the copper tape was. So I want to take you back now to when I first got the doll's house, and that was actually in December of 2016, so I've had it for about 3.5 years now. And you can see here those doors I was talking about earlier, they're rather chunky, and I think the door in the middle there looks rather out of scale. Although I do quite like the paned window frames, they were actually quite badly split in quite a few places in the downstairs and upstairs windows, so that's why I decided to move the pane in completely. There you can see the interior, and this is actually how it was. So the paper had started peeling, and there's a few damp spots in there as well. And you can just about see as well from this angle that they hadn't done anything to the ceiling, so they were left as plain wood. That's how it was when I got it. A close-up of the inside of the door there, and it was rather grubby and a bit chipped. And also look at those really big hinges on the doors there, which again are really out of scale for the piece. So in the downstairs room there you can see what I was talking about with the damp over in that right hand corner, but understandable really, seeing as it was thrown into a skip. And just actually quite a nice plain wallpaper in that downstairs room there, quite like that. So a view of the stairs there, showing how they should be correctly fitted, and they are actually nailed into place along the top and bottom of the higher stairs and at the sides of those lower stairs, and then they'd glued the runner into place, the stair runner there. So the upstairs landing there, quite badly painted, so I don't know if they had sort of plans for paper in that, or maybe did another coat of paint. Paper peeling off in there, and that's that really thin paper that they've used in all of the rooms. Looks like in this room there was some carpet down at some point, and this is how I got it, so that had already been removed. And you can see a little face on that back wall if you look closely, so I think they'd just sort of stuck that onto the wall as a picture in the room. A little bit of damp as well in that top left hand corner. Again you can see the copper tape in the downstairs main room there. Again a shot there without the roof on, just to show you that top bit, a little bit grubby, a little bit damp as well. And that was split. Now I can't actually remember fixing that, but I must have done. I must have glued that back into place and probably clamped it, but the damp probably got at it there. So here I had moved it into my craft room as it used to look and made a start on the renovation. So you can see there one of the broken strips in the window pane. So I started by removing the main door, and I've kept hold of those hinges, so we'll reuse those when it comes to it. And then I started to remove the wallpaper, which as always some bits are easy and some bits are really stubborn. But for all the sort of tips you get on different potions to use to remove wallpaper, I really do find just warm water and a scraper does the job. What I did find with this project was that it really smelt as I was removing the paper, and I think what happens is when the glue dries out over a number of years, it just sort of starts to smell, that awful sort of fishy almost smell, and that's what happened in here. And somebody had said about using a mixture of vinegar and water, and that would remove the smell, and that did work. So I started mixing a bit of vinegar with the warm water as I removed the wallpaper, taking out the internal wall there and the floor, just make it all a bit easier to get to. A little bit further on, some of those big sheets coming away like that was really satisfying. Almost there now. That parquet flooring paper was a real pain to remove, that's how it came away in all those tiny little bits. And that's the paper removed from that main area. And I made a start on the stairwell, and you can see there I've removed the stairs, and you can see those lethal nails sticking out at the side there. So I won't be using nails to knock those back in, we'll just glue those into place. And there are the removed stairs, and then I just sort of peeled that carpet away, and that came away quite easily. And there is the whole thing stripped. And once you've stripped all the wallpaper away, your walls are going to be a little bit damp, so always leave it to dry out for a good while before you start doing any work in there. I then started work on the main door, so I removed the doors, and I've kept hold of those hinges, but I won't be using those again with the new doors. I'll probably try and do a pin hinged door, and we'll make our own doors as well. Something a little bit more elegant looking. And then I removed that strip wood as well, and again that had been nailed in. And there I've stripped everything away, including those window frames, and given it a really good sand. and the same on that side. I then added in 2 pieces of 5x5 strip wood, which you can see at the bottom there, level with that step. And that was just to make a sort of flat area to lay the new window frames or window surrounds. And this is how I made them. So I just cut some wood to fit, and then I just built it up with mouldings. Glued those into place. It's all dry in there with my pegs. And then I added those panels at the bottom there, so 2 panels in each side. And I'll wait until we've actually done the exterior of that door, and then I'll paint these with whatever colour we decide upon, and then fix those into place. And that's how they'll sit, so they just sit nicely into those recesses. The acetate we can fit between the actual edge of the doll's house, or the front of the doll's house, and the new frames. That will sandwich nicely in there. And this is how it's looking now. So this is as far as I've got with it. I really hope you've enjoyed this introductory episode and that I've covered everything. If you have any questions, then just pop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Let me know as well what you think of the project, and if you have any tips or advice to offer at this early stage, I'd love to hear those as well. I really hope you're excited about following along with this project. I'm really excited to get started on it. So for now, thank you for watching and I'll see you soon. Bye!